Two bodies have been found in the Canadian province of Manitoba, ending a weeks-long manhunt. The police say they're confident the bodies are those of two teenagers suspected of the brutal murder of three people. The pair are believed to have killed an Australian man and his American girlfriend, and they have been charged with the murder of a Canadian professor in British Columbia last month. Tessa Vanderhart writes for the Winnipeg Free Press and spoke to me earlier from Gillam, Manitoba, as the two bodies of the dead suspects were loaded onto planes headed for Winnipeg, and crucial autopsies, which will hopefully give better clues as to exactly what happened.
The latest development, I'm here right now at the Gillam airport, where we just saw two metal coffins being loaded onto two separate RCMP airplanes. They're taking them back to Winnipeg for an autopsy, not only to confirm the identity definitively, but also to determine the cause of death, which is something that people have a lot of questions about.
Yes, because these guys were reportedly on foot, and we'd had warnings over the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I think, about just how hard it is to survive in the scrub there. So I guess there's all sorts of conjecture at the moment about whether these guys may have taken their own lives or whether they just succumbed to the elements.
Yeah, and that really won't be clear. There's so many animals in the bush out here that if they were dead for any amount of time, there would be some probably animal involvement. So it wouldn't be easy to tell automatically the cause of death just without an autopsy. So it will be really important to figure out, and also to figure out the timeline of when this all happened. All we know from RCMP is that it wasn't recent, but they haven't speculated as to, these guys have been, the last reported sighting was on July 22nd, so that was 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks ago, and so it's really not clear how much of the last 2 weeks they were alive.
And it's very much been described as a manhunt. They've charged for one murder. They're also suspects in a double murder. And have you heard clearly from police just about how they managed to find them?
Yeah, so on Friday, they were doing an aerial search in the area. RCMP had pulled back their resources by that time, but were continuing to search with a helicopter, and they noticed an aluminum fishing boat that was just very mangled, and I guess that caught their attention. So they put the focus more on the area around that boat. This is about 9 kilometers from the site where the burned-out Toyota RAV4 was found. So that helped them really zone in on that area. It's not clear if the boat was actually used by them at all. But what did happen is they found the boat, and then they found some items that they say are definitively linked to the two suspects. And it's not clear what those items are. All I could get out of RCMP was that there would be no need to DNA test the items. But anyway, so the boat led them to that, and then they were able to narrow the search even further, and a kilometer away from where that boat was spotted was where this morning they were able to find the remains.
Right. Now, Tessa, you've been in the town of Gillam. These guys have also been spotted at different times over the past 2.5 weeks in other surrounding towns. How are people feeling there now that this has come to a close?
People are very relieved. I spoke to some people that were watching it live, and they said it was just like they could see everyone just do a collective exhale. Finally, finally a resolution for this. One thing that I've also noted in a lot of people's reactions is sadness. People, even though these men were suspected of doing some horrible things, there's a real sadness for just the loss of life and for young lives that ended in this pretty awful way.
And then what are the police saying now that they've found these bodies? You described earlier on how you saw 2 coffins have been loaded into transport to be taken away. What are they saying to the media now, particularly around all these questions, just about the finer details of how they were tracked down and what may have killed them?
So all of those finer details are going to have to wait. Like I said, in this case in particular, it's going to really require an autopsy to pin down how long they were dead, what killed them. Oh, my goodness. We're just watching now as the planes take off. They're going to head to Winnipeg, and the autopsies will happen soon, and hopefully people will get those answers soon, because people here really do want those answers.
So you're just saying you're watching those planes take off with the 2 bodies now?
Yeah.
Right, and you're saying people there in the town, not obviously not just the victims' families, but people there in the town, and I guess people right across the country want to know exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's really what we heard at the town meeting today, too. People had a lot of questions. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of answers yet, and the remains are going to tell that story as best as we're ever going to know.
Tessa Vanderhart from the Winnipeg Free Press.